Thank you so much, Esther, for this lovely moderation and for hosting this great session. So, and now we had some international insights already, and now we will have another international perspective coming from Canada. So again, we have a session in English, so if you would like to have a translation, feel free to scan the QR codes on your left, if it's my right, it's your left, or on your right, and then you can have, via your headphones and your smartphone, you can have a translation. So now we have the honor to hear a keynote from Canada's Chargée d'Affaires, AI to Germany, and she will share how Canada is becoming a global energy leader and what this means for clean tech, critical minerals, and I think that's especially important regarding to Germany for transatlantic cooperation. So please join me in welcoming Evelyne Coulombe.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me well? Yes? Okay. Good afternoon, guten Tag, and bonjour à tous et à tous, and thank you so much for the invitation. So, ich freue mich sehr, Sie hier begrüßen zu dürfen. C'est un plaisir d'être avec vous aujourd'hui. So, the Smart Country Convention brings together people who move systems, not just by writing plans, but by executing them. This is where policymakers, engineers, investors, and communities meet to turn ideas into projects, projects into contracts, and then contracts into energy, materials, and jobs. Canada and Germany are entering a new phase of partnership, one that is far more than about trade. It's about security, sovereignty, and the ability of democracies to provide for themselves and for each other. And today I'd like to focus on three themes that invite us to deepen more our collaboration between Canada and Germany. First, Canada is working to become a global energy superpower, measured not only in volume, but in credibility. We intend to be a reliable supplier of energy and of the critical minerals that are needed for energy transition and modern defense, from battery-grade materials to the inputs that make power system, semiconductors, and precision components possible. Second, Canada and Germany are moving from vision to execution. So we've had a Canada-Germany energy partnership since 2021, co-led by our energy ministries. And so we established work streams in hydrogen, renewables, power systems, and efficiency. And this has been complemented in 2022 by a hydrogen alliance and anchors practical instruments like the H2 Global bilateral window and early export commitments to get real molecules of hydrogen from Atlantic Canada to German industry. Just last month, our Prime Minister Mark Carney led a delegation to Germany, met with Chancellor Friedrich Merz and German industry leaders. In that context, Canada and Germany signed a joint declaration of intent to deepen cooperation to secure critical mineral supply chains, increase collaboration on research and development, and co-fund new critical mineral projects. The leaders discussed the importance of diversifying trading relationship and energy supply chains, as well as the vital role that Canada can play in Germany's critical mineral and energy supply chains. The third, if we discuss energy security, economic resilience, and defense cooperation, they're all interconnected. Our supply chains, our ports, our standards, and our maritime security all live in the same reality. The more we align them, the safer and more competitive our economies become. That is the frame. So let me fill in a little bit the specifics. Le Canada entend être un partenaire fiable, un fournisseur sûr d'énergie propre et de minéraux critiques, et ainsi qu'un allié qui passe du plan à l'action. Avec l'Allemagne, nous bâtissons une chaîne transatlantique qui relie projets, normes et clients afin de livrer des résultats concrets, mesurables et durables. So in plain terms, and in English, we're shifting from debating whether to build to focus on how to build. We're moving from delay to delivery to Canadians at home and allies abroad. So for investors and partners, that means more certainty that once you commit capital, projects will actually get built. It means that Canada is open for business with predictable rules and timelines that match the urgency of today's geopolitics. This is why very large German companies have chosen Canada to make forward-looking investments, like K+S, Volkswagen Power Co. and Siemens Energy, for example. Germany is ranked as Canada's 6th largest investor right now in Canada, but the 3rd largest in Europe. So they have quite a large FDI stock in Canada. In den vergangenen Monaten wurde deutlich, wie wirkungsvoll internationale Zusammenarbeit sein kann. Bei der Canada, Germany Hydrogen and Ammonia Producer Off-Taker Conference in Hamburg haben Produzenten und Abnehmer aus Kanada und Deutschland eng zusammengearbeitet. They asked the right questions. What volumes can be delivered and when? Which certification schemes are truly interoperable? Which ports, terminals, and safety standards will be ready first? While Canadian projects prepare the molecules, Hamburg is positioning itself as a hub. This isn't a story. This is a matter of scheduling, engineering, and contracts. Der Fokus liegt dann nicht mehr auf bloßen Lippenbekenntnissen, sondern auf konkreten Ergebnissen, der Lieferfähigkeit auf Stahl, Baufortschritt, Hafenlogistik und der ersten planbaren Frachtplänen. At the same time, liquefied natural gas remains an important part of this equation. Canadian LNG offers secure, low-carbon energy today, helping allies reduce coal dependence while we scale up renewables and hydrogen. It is a practical bridge that strengthens energy security without slowing the transition. While hydrogen and renewables are the long-term destination, LNG provides immediate energy security and emissions advantage compared to coal. Canada is advancing projects on its Atlantic and Pacific coast that can deliver responsibly produced LNG to Europe and Asia. These facilities are designed with electrified processes and stringent methane controls, making Canadian LNG among the lowest carbon options globally. And earlier this month, our Prime Minister announced that Phase 2 of LNG Canada's liquefied natural gas production facility on the Pacific coast would be designated a project of national importance. This will streamline the approvals process and accelerate construction. The expansion will double LNG Canada's production of LNG, making it the 2nd largest facility of its kind in the world. For Germany, this matters. Diversifying gas supplies has been critical since 2022, and LNG remains part of the resilience equation as we scale up hydrogen and renewables. Meanwhile, Canada, as a reliable supplier, is exemplified by 3 recent agreements that connect upstream resources to European industry. So when our Prime Minister was here, 3 agreements were signed. The first one is between Troilus Gold and Aurubis, one of the world's leading copper smelters and recyclers headquartered in Hamburg. They signed a memorandum of agreement for the long-term offtake of copper-gold concentrates from Quebec to Germany. And the deal moves beyond talk. It links a Canadian mine to a German industrial cornerstone. Second, there's the Torngat Metals and Vacuum Schmelze, a leader in the production of rare earth permanent magnets, headquartered in Hanau. They have agreed on a pathway to a long-term supply of separate rare earth oxides for permanent magnets. And this is how you build resilience in a market that has long suffered from concentration and volatility. Third, there was also the agreement between Rocktech Lithium and Enertrag. They have agreed on a renewable power partnerships for Rocktech's lithium hydroxide converter in Guben. And the plan is straightforward. From 2030, at least half of the converter's electricity demand will be met directly with new wind and solar energy, materially reducing Scope 2 emissions and improving cost predictability through a long-term power purchase structure. Diese Abkommen sind mehr als nur symbolische Bekenntnisse. Sie verbinden kanadische Projekte mit der deutschen Industrie. Eine Schmelzanlage erhält Kupferkonzentrat, die Magnetfertigung seltener Erdoxide und eine Lithiumkonverteranlage erneuerbare Energie. Gleichzeitig werden 3 Lücken geschlossen. Erstens gibt es verlässliche Zuflüsse an Rohmaterialien. Zweitens eine saubere und wettbewerbsfähige Verarbeitung. Und drittens ein Endprodukt mit geringerer CO2-Intensität. Copper concentrate from Canada that reaches Hamburg becomes wiring, motors, and electronics across value chains from mobility to power electronics. Rare earth oxides that feed vacuum schmelze, magnet production, translate into high-performance motors for EV and turbines. Lithium hydroxide from a converter powered by renewables cuts the embedded carbon into batteries. In batteries, sorry. They are not separate stories. Together they make supply more predictable, standards more interoperable, and outputs more competitive, so that European factories can plan with confidence. A strong partnership is also a reciprocal partnership. In Geretsried, Bavaria, a Canadian company called Ever is deploying closed-loop geothermal at commercial scale, backed by the EU Innovation Fund and the European Investment Bank, with more than 90 million euros. The system will provide low-carbon heat and power that complements hydrogen and variable renewables. The point is not branding, the point is performance. Canadian engineering operating in Germany, strengthening local energy resilience and proving a technology that can be replicated across Europe. As we all know, energy security and national security now live in the same conversation. Canada, Germany, and Norway are deepening their trilateral maritime partnerships focused on the North Atlantic and the Arctic, to protect sea lines of communications, to safeguard critical infrastructure, and to deepen industrial interoperability. It's a logical step as climate change reshapes the operating environment and as more of our economic lifelines move over water. Canada is also renewing its submarine fleet. Prime Minister Carney announced that Canada shortlisted ThyssenKrupp Marine Systems and ANWA as the 2 finalists to bid on a contract to supply the Canadian Navy. The Prime Minister's visit to Kiel highlighted that defense industrial collaboration is part of the same fabric as our energy work. Clarity of standards, trusted suppliers, lifetime sustainment, and a recognition that supply chains are strategic assets. These security choices support the critical minerals partnerships as well. When we co-invest in midstream capacity and recycling, we reduce the risk that a single bottleneck, materials, components, or shipping lanes can cascade across clean energy, manufacturing, or defense. Execution depends on the people. We need welders and drillers, rig technicians and port crews. We need electrochemists and power system engineers who can make electrolyzers, heat networks, and grids work together. We need geologists and metallurgists who can meet higher environmental and labor standards across the critical minerals value chain. So the strength of our Canada-Germany approach is that we measure what matters: time to permit, interoperability of certificates, emissions intensity through the chain, safety records, local hiring, and training outcomes. We should also be honest about pacing. Not every project will land on its first attempt. Some will shift with technology learning curves, input costs, and permitting realities. Lassen Sie mich die 3 Kernbotschaften zusammenfassen. Erstens, strebt Kanada eine Position als globale Energiemarkt an, als verlässlicher Lieferant von Energie und kritischen Rohstoffen, die für die Energiewende und die Verteidigung unverzichtbar sind. Zweitens, Kanada und Deutschland wechseln von Leitbild zur Umsetzung. Konkrete Schritte wie belastbare Abnahmevereinbarungen für Kupferkonzentrat und seltene Erden sowie erneuerbare Energie für die Verarbeitung unterstützen diesen Prozess. Drittens gehören Energie, Wirtschafts- und Sicherheitspolitik zusammen. Nous avançons du plan à l'exécution. Nous passons à des projets concrets, à des normes compatibles et à des chaînes d'approvisionnement plus fiables. In closing, let me underscore, Canada can supply the lowest risk, lowest carbon energy to fuel your industries today and tomorrow. We can provide the critical minerals that underpin your competitiveness, security, and technologies of the future. Together, we can write the next chapter. So thank you so much for the work you do, often far from the spotlight, to make these transitions real. Canada is ready to keep building with you in the lab, in the port, in the plant, and on the sea. So thank you, merci, dankeschön.
Evelyne Coulombe, great big thank you for this trilingual insights you gave us, and I have to admit I did not know how close Germany and Canada are working together when it comes to achieving the energy transition. Really, really insightful. Thank you so much. Great to have you here. Ich wechsle zurück ins Deutsche, da wir jetzt wieder ein paar Beiträge auf Deutsch haben und